Heather McDonald has got the juiciest scoop. When you're on the road, when you're on the go, Juicy Scoop is the show to know. She talks Hollywood tales, her real life Mr. Segment serial data and serial sister. You'll be addicted and addicted fast to the #1 tabloid real life podcast. Listen in, listen up. Whoop whoop. Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop, straight from New York. I'm with my friend, the one, the only former Real Housewife, New York person. What do we call him? Carole Radziwill, thank you for coming back. We've been friends for a while. You've been on Juicy Scoop before.
This might have been my first podcast.
Thank you.
Like way back when.
Yeah, we did it when we did it in LA at that other spot.
Yes.
And now we found a great little place to record today.
Thank you. I haven't done a podcast in years, so I'm super rusty.
Well, that's why I'm glad you're here. Okay. Because it's like, I don't like it when people are doing like 10 a day. Like, I want you raw.
Okay, well, I'm raw. I just got off a flight from Europe, so.
Oh, good.
I don't
you
really
look great. Beautiful as always. Stylish and fun.
Oh, thank you.
And I just recorded Watch What Happens Live, which aired on Tuesday night.
Who was the guest?
Because we did it in the afternoon because I think he was like stacking up a few.
They did. It's like Watch What Happened recorded.
Well, I mean, you know, it's summer. I'm assuming.
We used to do that. There's a show on ABC called Primetime Live. Yeah. And it was live for like a month. And then it was like, fuck this.
Yeah. And then it's summer. I'm like, I'm sure he wants to get out to the Hamptons. And
of course.
No, so I had not been on, I've been on Watch What Happens Live once before.
Right.
Which was, someone looked it up for me because I was like, it was May 2012. And I was on with Tamra. And throughout the years, I've had like another book come out. I've had 2 specials come out. I've had, of course, my podcast for 8 years. I've been out here. I've had numerous people pitch me.
Yeah.
Finally, they said yes.
That's
and
so
it was
strange.
today.
I would think you would be like almost like a regular. Like,
I mean, I should have been. I mean, nobody knows this stuff better than me, but look, I'm happy to be back.
I mean, you should be on the Bravo payroll. You're like the marketer. You're like,
you know what? Listen, I love it. I love analyzing. I love talking about it. So for me, it's all very pleasurable and fun.
Do you still do Ramona?
Of course I do Ramona. You know what? I did her in the first. Okay. Now it's been 2 days. I haven't seen it yet. I think I did okay, to be totally honest. It wasn't like my favorite performance of my life. And I was like so kind of leading up to it. What am I going to wear? Da-da-da-da.
Right.
I was with Jeff Lewis, who's a good friend of mine. So that made it really fun.
He's on it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you should be like the female Jeff Lewis. Like, just come to you.
I'm happy to come back whenever. Like, everyone was super nice. Andy was really nice. I brought him a Barbie. An Annie Barbie.
You were the original.
I know.
Did you bring my Barbie?
No, I didn't bring your Barbie. Sorry, but I brought the one that I used for Andy, and I've like colored his hair gray with a marker, magic marker. Yeah. And then I had 2, a little boy, and a little girl.
Oh, right.
And I colored their hair brown, and I made him a little thing. And I gave it to him in the green room. I didn't want to walk out there and like waste the time on a stupid Barbie. And he was very sweet about it. And totally fun. He was completely nice. And we had fun. But like the first joke, so we talked about Real Housewives of New York.
Okay. That's on.
And he's like, what do you think? Like right before we're about to start. Because I knew they were going to ask me about it. And I go, well, can I like give advice of what I think it should be? And can I bring up old Real Housewives of New York people? And he's like, yeah, do whatever you want. Yeah. So when I watched have you watched any of it?
No.
So when I watched the latest episode, I'm interviewing Erin tomorrow, which you guys will hear next week. She's one of the girls. I like her a lot. She seems like a very nice, normal person, and hopefully I'll get to know her better. But I do feel it's a little slow, the show.
Oh, the show is.
The show is a little, know, I mean, I think it's like nobody's annoying or anything. All the girls are like,
oh, that's
pretty cool and likable. But yes, it's like,
fun. It's
going to take us, I think, a minute.
But if you recall season 5, which is the first season I was on, they blew up the show in season 4. For some reason. And
when they got rid of Jill,
who was great, and Kelly,
and then also
blonde
Alex McCord.
Yeah.
Yes.
And And it was really slow. And the ratings weren't even that great because the audience really is connected to the old cast. And I think there's a little of that maybe going on now, but it takes a minute.
It takes a minute. And they're all like smart and pretty and stylish. And the first episode I really liked because we got to see their apartments and I liked their style.
Yeah.
And I just love watching anything that's filmed
married with kids.
Well,
and stuff,
what happened was it was a little rough start because this one cast member ended up leaving.
Okay.
And
you mean like in the middle of the season?
Yeah, like within
Tinsley did that last season?
I don't think that far along, but so they had to shoot. I mean, they had to edit around the fact that they probably had a lot of initial meetings when this woman was there.
Oh, so they edited her out of the show.
Yes. And I think in putting it together post like that, there is a little bit I'm like, wait, is this girl married? Is this one still single? I'm kind of but anyway, so my suggestion was, so one girl had something at the Hamptons. That's Erin. She had hosted everyone at the Hamptons, and everyone said the place was cold and she didn't have any food. And
was it her Hamptons house?
Yes.
Okay. So not like an Airbnb.
So what I wanted to say to Andy, was to be like, Dorinda needs to tell her how to work a thermometer, the thermostat. I mean, how to work the thermostat, get it warm or whatever. Then this other girl is real flirty. Her name's Bryn. And I'm like, Luann needs to come and help her work with, how to be a flirt. Because she's flirting with the chef and she's flirting with the da-da-da. She's flirting with the guy teaching them to work out. Literally the exact same stuff we saw with Luann.
I think they studied the
They had a workout at the Hamptons with a hot guy. Yes. And so she flirted or the other girl flirted with him. I don't know. They were all flirting. And then they have... and then I go, and then this other one hasn't had sex with her husband since her twins were born. And so everyone's like, you and your husband need to go off by themselves. The twins are a little over 1. So so it's been over a year. And she reveals that. Wow. And the husband is like, well, we're busy. He wasn't even like, I know, so glad those chicks are saying something. So I'm like, what they need to do is then have Ramona take her to the exact same hotel.
You're so right.
The exact same hotel that she did that horrible, cringy scene with Mario. Do you remember? Which she's you are hot, I'm sexy. She's crawling on him. And so I
wasn't on the show then.
So I kind of wanted to so I'm like, I'm just going to get right to the Ramona part of it. But it kind of bombed. He looked at me and I didn't do it really well. And I got kind of nervous.
No, but
so that joke kind of bombed. But then I had 2 other moments that were good where he'd asked me about Kyle. That might have been the after show. Kyle is dating, we think. She acted like she was dating this woman.
Oh, okay.
I, from the beginning, have gone back and forth. I'm like, I think she dropped crumbs.
Yeah. Is this sort of storyline on the show?
It's going to be the story on our show. But one thing I'm so glad I said was a couple weeks ago when this first came out, or 3 weeks, I said, I believe she'll have some type of financial interest in this girl's career. Well, lo and behold, last week, she is producing and filming a documentary for her, Morgan Wade. And she's also featured in her music video as her love interest.
Kyle's the love interest?
Kyle is, yes.
Oh, that's hot. That's fun.
Yeah, but I mean,
she's still married.
She's still married, but now I'm like, so I said that to Andy.
Business. Yeah.
Yes, I said that to Andy. I go, I still don't know if they're messing around, if lesbianism is a side effect of Ozempic. I don't know. So I think I had a couple funny moments, but I had a couple funny moments, but then it's the audience is so small.
Yeah.
And I just came off of doing 5 shows where it was almost 400 people a night. So to hear just a weird chuckle, I just kind of.
Yeah. You can't get your vibe.
I think it'll be, hopefully it was fun. Hopefully it was fine and people have watched it by now and hopefully they'll ask me back. Everyone's very nice that works there and everything.
I mean, they should ask. You should be a regular. You have such good takes on it and you really know the characters.
Yeah.
I would trust whatever you think about the Kyle storyline or whatever. Or any of these newbies. Or,
so he asked me
I don't like to call them newbies, whatever.
Yeah. He was like, do you think Candy brought up this girl on girl kiss because she's doing a movie that involves the girl on girl kiss? I go, yeah. I do. Who cares? But I do. And it's also your life.
That is like always a narrative about in every franchise and every
lesbianism.
Season. Yeah, there's always
like making out.
It's always making out because
I said that's
provocative. It gets the camera time. It gets attention. It makes.
I kind of think it's played out a little bit.
Yes.
So there is an actual real life lesbian.
Well, Jenna Lyons.
Yes, she's a real lesbian.
I know her.
There's a lot of girls who are not real lesbians. Like now this girl is like, I'm a real lesbian. I'm in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I feel like there is these moments where some of the girls are sort of flirty with her. Like, ooh, do you like what I'm wearing, Jenna? You know?
Yeah, that's not cool.
No, I think it feels weird. I mean, I have two very good friends that are lesbians. Fortune Fuster and Julie, and never ever have I like flirted with them like that. That's I think it's just
that's
weird.
Like lesbian
light.
Television.
It's lesbian light.
Yeah, I mean everyone. I think on the older cast, I remember like this was like seasons or even before me. They were all making out with Sonia. That was like the New York. If you didn't make out with Sonia, were you really even a New York housewife? I mean, I never did. But like everyone took a turn.
Yeah. I said to Annie too, I think this was on the show. I just said, can we just get more guys in there so they don't have to make out with each other?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing, but also they have the first night of the slumber party, Jenna brings lingerie for everybody. Everybody's supposed to wear lingerie, but Jenna never gets in it. And this other girl hates her lingerie. And it was just like, I'm like, never in my life have I been on a girls' trip where we're like, you know what would be really fun, you guys? If we all wear, bondage lingerie outfits. Like
around.
never would that happen. And it just feels very like those kind of things. I'm like,
maybe it just needs to get its groove.
Yeah.
Right? It needs to get its groove. But
I'll never not watch it. Because at least it's at least it's shot in New York.
Yeah.
And I like that. And
Jenna has a great apartment.
Oh yeah.
Right?
She has a great apartment, great clothes.
Yeah. I ran into her recently.
Yeah.
She was in the middle of her confessional interviews. Like they go on for a really long time after you stop filming.
And then they bring it up. Then they go like
so, well, 5 months ago, so-and-so said this. And you're like, no. Well, and they ask you the question over and over and over again until they get some answer that feels provocative. But so I think she had just come from one when I saw her at dinner.
Did you ever do, when you were doing that, did you ever just go, just tell me what you want me to say?
Yes.
So I can get the fuck out of here.
Not in the beginning seasons, but definitely in the last season. I was just, my season 10, whatever that was. Yeah. What do you want me to say, Barry?
Right.
Like this, because they ask the same question 10 different ways. And it's just like, and it's really 6 months earlier. And you have no recollection or like, and you should be upset about something, some slight, but you don't really give a shit.
Were there moments when you'd be doing this confessionals and you're like, now I know why someone confesses to murder just to get out of the room?
Yes. It's like forced it's a forced confession.
Right. You're just like, well, I mean, if I say what you want me to, if I say that I killed him, then can I just go lay down? Yeah. Can I just get out of this tiny room? Yeah.
I mean, they go on for hours.
Yeah.
Hours and hours, between the hair and makeup it's like 3 or 4 hours. And you're just like, it's like, waterboarding. You're just like, what I don't remember. I have no memory of, but I'm sure she was a bitch.
So speaking of that, what do you think about the letter that has come from 2 attorneys? It's not a lawsuit.
No, I know.
And it's about, should...
Well,
then the talk of like making a union or just, I mean, the letter.
Well,
I'll just really quick.
I am pro-union.
Yes.
And so I think generally speaking, there is a labor movement in this country that started probably around the pandemic. I mean, you see at Amazon and Starbucks and people unionizing. I've always said, well, before it was trending or cool or safer to say that, specifically with reality, those contracts that are signed are, they're legal, like ironclad legally, but there's a morality to it that just is not is exploitive. And people can say you know what you're getting into, like, but you don't really. It's just like anything. You really don't know what you're getting into until you're in it. And Yeah, I mean, I always thought that that there's room for discussion with SAG or AFTRA or whatever it would be to form a union, because reality, it's not like when Ramona and Luann and they all and Jill started season 1. Like, it's a huge business, $1 billion business, and the talent is not paid. There's no provisions. There's no provisions for their safety. We ran into a really tight spot when we were in Cartagena.
Oh, on the boat.
Yes. And there's no provisions there's no like break time. There's nothing. It's just like unregulated labor. And so, sure, there's definitely room for talks about organizing that. There's no residuals. I mean, I was just in Europe. So many people came up to me, like a woman from Kuwait. She's like, I watch your show. I mean, it's on playing 24/7. And the network is making a lot of money selling it again and again and again to advertisers, to streamers. And we get paid, we didn't get paid a lot of money at all, compared to scripted. So, yeah, there's certainly, I'm pro-union, and I've always said that. I've always, I think early on, I used to say that no one like exploits talent and mental illness and addiction and alcoholism for entertainment better than Bravo. And I know Bravo used to hate when I said that, but it is exploited. It's exploitive, and I think in the end of the day, it benefits everyone when you're paid a fair wage, and when you're treated with respect, and when you have this is a business.
Yeah, I mean, it would be...
And you can't say it when you're on it. Like, people are like, well, why didn't you say it when you were on it? Well, I'm working for a company, a big corporation, right? I'm signed a contract. It's a job. It's like, who talks about their corporation
But
publicly?
I also think you probably didn't... you obviously are going to have a different perspective, a few years in than you did the first day, and you're going to have a different perspective many years after you're not. And also... everybody's
But let me just say, I was the first housewife to ever say anything about exploiting talent.
I know you did. I think you probably said it on my show too.
I've kind of been saying it for a long time. Slow and steady in my style. I'm not like loud and bullying, but I think there's room for improvement with the network and the talent.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Fran Drescher has just more on her plate right now, but like what would have been good is if SAG started to think about incorporating them.
They should have. Fran Drescher is Aviva, one-legged Aviva's cousin.
Right.
Drescher.
And it's interesting. I just thought of that because so I follow a TikTok account called Celeb Fail Official, I think. I don't know who this person is. Whoever does it, she, we'll call her she, does like weird voiceover. So it's no one's voice. And she's used a couple times that I've talked about Bethany Frankel on my show and put them in her videos.
Yeah, I think I've seen
And she is someone who really is about calling Bethany Frankel out on her hypocrisy, whether you...
Oh my God, that's a full-time job.
Yeah, it is a full-time job.
Oh, it is.
I mean, the work that this person does, it's amazing. So a lot of times Bethany will post something and then take it down. And this person is able to capture it and then go back and then pick out all the hypocrisy that she's done.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of, it's pathological.
Yeah.
The gaslighting, the misinformation, the disinformation, the just straight up pathological lying. I mean, I don't know who this person is, but
I don't know who she is either. But what's amazing is, in Bethany's like quest to be, I'm the one that's going to get this happening and I'm the one that can do it. It's like all she does is talking about I was the most successful housewife. I left and I came back and I was more successful and I did this and I did this and I did this and I was the first to have a cocktail and I was the first to, and
she's so pressed.
Like, you would never
the biggest, the first. It's like, okay.
You would never, but any time we've seen Fran Drescher talk about, this being like the fight of the life, for the SAG actors, she's never like, I was on The Nanny. I was. I wasn't just the nanny. I created the nanny because she did. I created the nanny. I thought of the nanny. I sat next to this person and got the nanny made.
Right.
I was the nanny. I was a love interest of the main character as the nanny. Like, it was like, of course she would never say that.
But she, there's something when I used to say this, I repeat myself because I've said everything, like on the reunions and interviews since a while. There's something about narcissism, that the upside of narcissism is that some people do get help because there's this quest to be the hero of your story all the time. So, I mean, I think like Taylor Swift said it best in that anti-hero, one of my family. I'm a Swiftie. And she says, my covert narcissism disguised as altruism. And that's what we're seeing.
Right. The narcissism as like a savior.
Yes. It's disguised as altruistic. But it's just narcissism. But that's like the upside, because someone might get helped along the way. It's like the be strong.
Right. And
model.
And actually the celeb fail brings up the be strong too, which, people always said it's her charity. And she's a fundraiser for Global Empowerment Mission, which is still good. That. It's still good to raise money.
I do the same thing for a nonprofit, based in Europe.
Yeah, so she's still fundraising, which is still good. Mm-hmm. But she definitely hasn't mentioned it in a while since she's been, going to the Red Lobster and Cheesecake Factory or whatever she goes to when she does her middle class cosplay and goes to the 99-cent store and everything. So
it's
she's
like a loop.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm so glad oh my God, I'm so glad I'm away from it.
But let me just tell you, the rants that then were deleted. Okay, so at one point, she's like, this latest rant that she was deleted is she says, and I wasn't always like the greatest person. And so she removed that. But then this video shows all the times that she is just like screaming, calling cast members, you've slept with everybody, everything.
Whores, drunks, idiots, losers, nobody.
You're a dumb person.
She still does it on that podcast.
Yes.
Fans send me stuff.
And the latest episode is from August 6th. So she's still watching I thought at least she'd put a pause in that.
She's exploiting the talent.
And the rewives.
She's exploiting all of us again and again and again for cash.
So I guess a while back, Aviva Drescher had made a tweet saying that when she was on the show, that she was forced to drink alcohol or something.
Oh, yeah.
And then Bethany
she was with Ramona or something.
Bethany on June 16th, 2018, tweeted this. Hello at Aviva Drescher as the person responsible for putting you on Roni.
Of course.
So Bethany put Aviva on.
It's pathological. It's like so Donald Trump. It's crazy.
I know. I take offense to you misrepresenting the truth and saying producers prodded you to drink. As someone here since day one with 13 years of reality TV experience, it is a flat out falsehood. At Bravo TV, at Andy. Now that was 2018. Interesting, because you're right. Aviva Drescher is the cousin of Fran Drescher.
But that was true. I remember Aviva was she didn't drink at all.
Okay,
and there was a scene I recall. She was upset that they wanted her to drink with Ramona, and so she was telling the truth.
Yeah.
But Bethany
is like it. Not only is like she lied there, and then she lied about her lying, and now anyway. So
she called Aviva Drescher out as a liar.
Yes,
but now she's actually claiming that they do what Aviva Drescher said that they do.
Correct.
So yeah. So the great thing about social media and tweeting and all this and
talk about the receipts.
It's just like everything is transparent. And when your story doesn't track, and just generally speaking, a lot of housewives stories just do not track.
Yes.
And it's just so, if someone takes the time like this TikTok account to really piece it together, it's quite a beautiful thing.
It's really amazing, like all the clips and everything. And
but it is
she did this other one where she's like, a lot of people saying that you think that I'm doing this to stay relevant? Riddle me this. I'm like, riddle me this. And she's like, riddle me this. You think I'm going out and trying on lip glosses and everything for fun? And I'm like, yeah, I do.
Well,
I mean, you're doing it.
No,
so then I'm like, okay, so that's why she took it down, because I'm like, oh wait, you're not doing it for fun.
She's doing it for business.
You just admitted
it's all business. It's
when
all,
you acted like I never am getting sponsorships. I'm just letting you guys know that this is the best lipstick and this is the best. She's literally saying, you think I'm no. Well, so then she realized, okay, I got to delete that one. I'm just imagining like who's the one running in and going, Bethany, take that down. Like
maybe she. I mean, I have no
idea. The boyfriend,
I mean,
the daughter. I don't know.
She's just like I didn't realize she was still so pressed about exploiting housewives and just talking.
And she said she just a little while ago said I would do Ultimate Girls Trip for $1 million, and this is who I want on it.
Yeah.
I want herself, because she said these are the only people that are raw and messy. They're the kind of housewives I like. They don't care about looking perfect. They're imperfect, and the only people that I can say is myself, Teresa, Tamara, and Nene. That's who she'd have on the thing. But now
Nene should be the one leading the charge of trying to unionize.
Well, that's where Nene was trying to.
Years ago, I think I remember reading something about.
She had her own personal campaign and lawsuits and all this other stuff against Bravo, and trying to say that it wasn't fair. And
I mean,
no one was.
There is some truth to it. I mean, I think there's room for discussion about how they can. Treat talent better. Well, of course, NBC
financially, the emotional labor of being a housewife is extraordinary. Like it's very, I don't want to say the word toxic because it gets overused and stuff, but it's the emotional labor is intense, and that can be exploitive. And you're dealing with women who do have some addiction problems, or drink a little too much, or just are mentally not balanced.
Right.
I mean, I think most of them.
Right. I mean, especially now, 15 years later, we know a lot more than we knew 15 years ago.
And it's $1 billion business, and they're not getting paid 60. The first season, Housewives got $60,000, and I know they like the season one Roni people. Some of them like to say, "Oh, we only got paid $8,000 and stuff," but there's only 6 episodes season one. By the time and it was unknown, no one knew what it was, so everyone was taking a chance, including the network. By season 5, it was a bona fide monster hit, and we were putting out 18 to 20 episodes, and the pay was $60,000. So it wasn't a per episode fee. It wasn't even that much more than that first season, if you put it in context. But there's definitely room for improvement. And there's definitely the union would benefit too, to incorporate. I mean, realities, especially now with the strike, the irony is that networks are going to depend more on reality.
Well, here's the thing. She has been clamoring.
This is just a PR thing,
Yes, definitely.
I mean, those two lawyers feel like it.
And they love the press too. And it gets people talking. And
she didn't hire them. She's not spending money.
No, but I kind of feel like her calling out certain Bravo people that are currently on a show, like, oh, I heard from Paige, who's on Summer House. I'm like, well, God, maybe she wanted that to be private. Like, why are you calling her out when she's currently on a show? And then she's like, everyone should stop working. They should boycott it. They shouldn't go to Bravo. And I'm like, BravoCon. And I'm like, nobody is. Nobody is. The Vanderpunk kids are not, hopping out of Jack's pool. And
it's like you've made your millions, and now she's probably knows she's burned the bridge, so she's going nuclear. But also she's exploiting still. She's talking about all the episodes, some of which I was on, and she does not say nice things. I mean, she's very passive aggressive in the way that she speaks, where it's like a word salad. But I know, and I'm like, oh, I know what she's saying, and she's trying to just be nasty. It's like, why, I don't know. Listen, I'm so happy in my life that I don't have to deal with that anymore.
But I want to ask you, okay, because I definitely think anyone that would be entering the game today, like let's say the new girls on Roni, they really have to look at everything of where this might go, even if they think they're in a great marriage, even if they think no one's going to find out about this weird thing they did when they were 17. like you got to know, like they're probably will. They're going to know if there's a tax lien. They're going to know, like these people will find out every little thing. So are you willing to do it in the hopes to get a kind of career that you want, which this fame may or may not give you? It's a gamble. Just taking, whether there's a union or not, whether you get paid for residuals or not, you're still opening up your life, which is different than being an actor. And what may happen in your life will get exposed. You don't know if someone is going to die tomorrow that's in your life. You don't know if you're going to break up with a person. You know, you don't know when you sign up. And so my question is, like, for you, the show had already been on. There'd been other shows like it. You were approached. I'm sure it didn't occur to you that, 12 years later, you're going to be sitting down talking about it with Heather McDonald and you're going to be in Europe and people are going to be recognizing you. I'm sure that never even, like, where were you when you made the decision of how big or little you thought it could become by you going on the show?
I recall I hadn't seen the show because it was season 5 and it was a big hit, but it was not something that was on my radar at all. And I just knew Andy a bit through friends, and I knew the only thing I knew is he had a talk show. So I thought it was like the talk show and he would interview these people called housewives, but I'd never seen the show, and I'd seen his talk show, and he used to do a blog about the talk show or something. And my friend Karen Duffy would send me this blog. She goes, "This is so funny. You got to read this." And this show, this Watch What Happens Live.
Yeah.
And so when I did it, I did it because I didn't, I know a lot of housewives, they go on and they're like, well, we really, we listed the pros and cons, and I discussed it with my family, my husband, my pastor, my whatever. Yeah. I'm like, I didn't discuss it with anybody. I was just like, I don't know, it seems like a really weird, funny thing to do. And I was kind of at a crossroads. I had written one book. I'd almost finished a second book. I was writing for magazines, Glamour Magazine, In Style, all those, and I just thought it would sell books. And I wouldn't really, I made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to do anything that, and I didn't have kids. It was just me.
I know, that's what I always,
so it was like,
one thing I always said to you is that you were, to me, I feel like you did benefit from it, and it didn't also tarnish your reputation at all. Like there's nothing that you did on the show, in my opinion, that I think you should be embarrassed of. Like there literally isn't. Like even the things that you said, even if they were maybe not the nicest, they weren't cruel. They were just funny and they were witty. Yeah. And
but it didn't. My whether I had a reputation or not, I don't think I did. But it didn't. People even now come up to me. They're not. I'm not like a housewife. They don't. They talk about my books. They ask me about a lot of younger women. They want to know about my, ABC News and all that. So, but it did hurt me. Like it is to be in an environment like that for 6 years, and there's a lot of gaslighting, a lot of pathological lying, a lot of all this misinformation and like mind fuckery. And it does get to you, like so it did. I know, just like an emotional, mental level. Like I had to like really detox from it.
Yeah, because I remember like the reunion.
The last one was just terrible. Your last reunion was terrible.
Was just like,
I mean, and I was fierce. Someone recently sent me this rant that I went on. I guess it was about Beth. It was about Bethany. I don't recall exactly, but I was like, damn, I went in. Like I was like,
it was like a blog that you wrote or something that you said on the show.
It was something I was saying on the show, and then Andy was reading a blog that I had written about Bethany's behavior in one of the episodes about how she weaponized her charity, and we were all losers and cared.
Right, and then she said, Ramona only gave me this much. This person only gave me this much. Your boyfriend at the time
she wasn't available. It was all weaponized. I gave her $5,000. She never gave me a penny for any charity I ever was supporting on any of the years I was there. Not one penny. But anyway, I was surprised at how strong and direct that I was. And Andy was reading the blogs, and it was saying a lot of things about, narcissistic behavior. And then there's cutaways of me saying, yeah, that's true. That was true. Like, I was just like, I'm like, who is that girl? Like, I was pretty fierce. And then but it was hard. And then when I left, it was just.
Well, what was interesting about the time that you guys were on was there was social media and Instagram, but it wasn't the way it is now.
Well,
and not everybody
had the same year I was on.
So people.
The Instagram was nothing when we.
Yeah, it wasn't like people were doing direct videos of after watching it, like, hey, this isn't true, whatever. But they had to write those blogs.
I loved writing the blogs.
So for you, they liked it. Other people, I believe hired someone to do it or their assistant helped or whatever. But then you would be privy to reading the blogs before, like now when they do the shows, it's probably why they got rid of the blogs actually. Now when they do the shows, someone like, let's say the latest season of New York, they're now watching it and being like, oh my God, I can't believe she said that about my house. That's the first that this person is seeing it because they're watching it. Back then, they would see the blogs from the episode before and be like, I can't believe that person wrote that or whatever. And it was your reaction, that type of thing. So when you guys were talking about the blogs in the reunion, she had said though, Bethany on the show, she was like, Carole has no career, has no kids, and has no husband.
That was the biggest.
So cruel because you are a widow and you lost your husband.
But that moment, it wasn't on the air, but I kept saying, no, this is what you said. And that's very hurtful.
No, it was on the air.
No, that part was. But then Andy was yelling and the producers came out and they kept saying, she didn't say that you didn't have a husband, Carole. She didn't say that. So, and there was a moment in the reunion, I think they left it in. And I'm like, she did say that. I'm not like me. I'm not trying to make a drama. That is what it said. That's really hurtful. And they're like, no, sorry. And it was such a gaslighting moment.
So they were saying she did say the thing about no career, no kids,
she
but
never
not
mentioned my late husband. And that's not true. And then,
but still no career, no kids is really mean too.
I know, but Andy was like, no, I'm having like, Andy was in his ear. He's like, no, the producers are telling me they're watching the episode in the control room. There's no control room. We're taping. I'm like, and they're telling me that she didn't say that. I mean, it was so, and I think that's what led to me saying you're so full of shit or something. But, but I made the mistake, and I would do some things different if I did it. I would never do it again, but like I would do some things different if I could go back in time. But, I just thought
if you could go back in time, would you go on?
Well, knowing what I know now, probably not. But or maybe I would, but I would do it differently.
What would you do differently?
You'd have to. I was very authentic on it. Like I wasn't trying to be like most of the housewives. They they're act richer than they are, and they also buy into the whatever the delusion that Bravo is creating, like. You're the businesswoman, you're the crazy one, you're the drunk, you're the, and I guess I was in some way the cool one, which I never bought into because it just is corny. Like, and I wasn't, I was like more like nerdy, but in that way that you can buy into your persona, it does protect you a little. But I was just too normal and raw and out there, and like I just felt like if I did it again, I would be much more calculating, like they all are, much more like have an agenda, know what I'm doing, and I just didn't. I would go into scenes, but
I think that's also why the show is not as enjoyable. That's why
even
when you
back then they were all agenda. Some of them more agenda than others.
But when you hear about somebody who's like, I'm just starting to watch. I've never watched before. I'm just starting to watch. The comments that I'll get when someone like posts that in my group or whatever, they'll be like, oh my God, I'm so jealous that you're going to start from the beginning and you're going to enjoy it for yourself. And, even though it's like 10 years old, it's like they because I think everybody was more authentic stuff because they didn't know what being on the show would mean for the future and how it would be now going on for infinity,
I mean, it started changing a little like season 9 and 10, like where it was just much more calculated. And some housewives were better at it than others. Yeah. But it just became like the same scene. Like one housewife, she'd like come in and scream and you're whatever you are, drunk, a whore, an idiot. And then there'd be like a penance, like, oh, I can't believe I did that. And then there might be a cry. And then it was like repeat. And, another scene, come and insult a woman. And then I can't believe I said that, and cry and become the victim. It was like a lot of that.
Well, now like on the new Roni, it's like this one girl kind of said we went to her house and she just had like a charcuterie board that wasn't that great. That has gone on for 4 episodes.
Oh, that's not good.
Like, what would you do? How would you feel if someone said that about your charcuterie board? I'm like, are you kidding me? That's
nothing. I would feel like I don't care.
Yeah. And then another one was about they didn't want to go to Catch. They thought it was a little over. And so the 2 girls went to a different restaurant and blew them off. And
I think it's a little studied, right?
Yeah,
like, I think
because nobody does want to say, and because it is awful, and you don't want to get to a place where you're calling someone a whore and a dum-dum and whatever, as they shouldn't do that. But then the other part is, it's like the audience, you can't satisfy the audience because they say, oh, this has gotten too harsh and it's too mean.
But they like
fighting.
That.
They like it.
Yeah, they like that.
And then when everyone's just kind of like nice and normal and respectful and the snarkiness is pretty low key, then people are like, it's boring.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure people thought I was always, boring. Like some people, some fans would be like, oh, you're so boring because I wasn't getting drunk or taking my clothes off or making out with Sonia Morgan or, I was just like, I don't think I would do that in real life. Like, I'm not doing that, and I wasn't calling women. I got career shamed, age shamed. There was a lot coming at me, even though like I was like not the drama. But when I think about it, the women, went after me. I mean, Luann, when I started dating Adam, it's like they really started, they went after me, but I wasn't into calling women, names and stuff. That's the work of the patriarchy. And every real narrative on that show is on some level a patriarchal trope about women. Women betraying women, age shaming, having a career, not having a career, not having kids. I was shamed for, it's just like a lot of it's like the shame game.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually.
But, and there was just a lot of producing at the end, a lot of fakery.
Yeah.
A lot of fakery.
I can see, you can see that.
Luann got married. Good for her.
Well, let's talk about that because that's a moment. It's about Tom. Please tell me it's not about Tom. Oh. It's about Tom. And right when that started, to remind people, Luann was engaged to this guy named Tom who had dated several other women on the cast. And it seemed like the engagement came pretty quickly after they dated.
It was like the second week.
And you guys were all in Miami or something. Wait, were you on it? Were you on the show at this time?
Yeah. We were in Palm Beach at an engagement party. And then we went to Miami.
Bethany is beside herself because a friend of hers happened to have been at the Regency and happened to have taken a photo of Tom with an ex-girlfriend in which they look like they're engaged in a kiss.
Yeah.
And now this information that she never asked for is on her phone while the cameras are there. And she's got to tell Luann.
Yeah.
And then what's Luann going to do? Is she going to forgive him, still get married to him? What? And a lot of people, not just me, were very suspicious of how that came about.
We were all suspicious. And I've said this ad nauseum in interviews or the few podcasts that I've done. And but at the time, it's just so funny that you bring this up because at the time, I was like, there's just no way Bethany happened to have a friend. She doesn't have a lot of friends. One happened to be at the Regency.
I don't think she has any friends. But
it wasn't me. One happened to be at the Regency on a random Tuesday night at 10 o'clock when Tom would walk in with an ex-girlfriend and kiss at the bar. It just seems so implausible and unbelievable. But it's like a storyline and there's a photo allegedly.
We saw the photo. The photo was shared.
She had a friend who happened to be at the Regency who took the photo and sent it to her. I remember that night she said, it's all a fake. I can't tell you why, but I'll tell you Miami. it's not real.
What's not real?
The engagement wasn't real. That was her take on it. And I was like, well, we're going to an engagement party. We're filming a show. I don't know. Like, I'm going. I won't, and so anyway, so she does this whole thing about, and I talked about this. So there's a book called Diamonds and
Dave Quinn's book, and I downloaded the whole scenario about how she really found out that she knew a friend of hers knew the girl and was told that they still kind of see each other and hook up and on and on and on. So she said, next time that's it's going to happen, let me know. So she was told that Tom was going to be there on that Tuesday night at 10 o'clock with the ex-girlfriend and they were going to whatever. So then who's the friend that took the photo?
So then, so I could never figure out the piece of like who took the photo.
Right.
Heather, this is like, talk about like, there are no secrets. Like 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, I'm having dinner downtown with a friend of mine. He's in the movie business. And in walks Michael Cohen. Now, Michael Cohen, I know he's Trump's lawyer.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God.
And they're no longer friends, obviously. Trump and he.
Oh, yeah. Right. No. I was like, I can't. And Michael wrote a book and he wants to talk to my friend about maybe doing something with the book. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like fucking Michael Cohen is at dinner. And he sits down and he's a character. And I'm like, I'm prepared to not like him because all I know about him is from the impeachment trials and all that. And I'm like, I gotta be honest, he was really funny. And he's like, I know you. And I'm like, you don't know me. I mean, there's no way. He goes, I know you. I met you 10 years ago with Aviva Drescher. And I know. And he starts listing. He goes, I know all those effing housewives and this one and this one and this one. And he gets Harry Dubin on the phone. He's like, did you ever sleep with Harry? I'm like, I never slept with Harry Dubin. He goes, you're the only one. He gets Harry on the phone. He's like, you ever sleep with, I'm having dinner with Carole Radziwill. You ever sleep with her? And Harry's like, no. And we started talking and he talked about Bethany and Luann and Sonia. He knew all of them, Dorinda. He actually liked Dorinda. They were friends. And then we started talking about Tom or the wedding. And he's like, oh, please. I goes, of course I know Tom. Who do you think took the picture? And I was like, wait, what did you say? And he goes, who do you think took the picture at the Regency?
So
Michael Cohen.
Wait. So Michael Cohen was at the Regency that night. So is Michael?
No, I think he Dennis Shields, who was
Bethany's
boyfriend.
Fiance.
I don't know what was friends with Michael Cohen. They both lived at Trump Towers, and they were friends. And he actually talked beautifully about Dennis. And I'd met Dennis a few times. And he was really, really interesting, very smart, interesting guy. And so he was talking about Dennis. Maybe that's how. And then he started talking about Tom. And he said, "I took the picture." And I was like, I'm like the picture that was on. And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "I took it." And then he said that Tom knew or something, or eventually he knew that Michael Cohen had taken the photo that ended up being forwarded to Bethany and ended up being on the show. Now, so let me just say allegedly, because this is just what he was telling me. He wasn't drinking, he wasn't drunk. And he came out with it like it was like big deal. He's like, yeah, I took it.
So allegedly,
so you think you can tell a bullshit story on a reality show. Eventually, it all comes out.
So allegedly, he took it, sent it to his friend, who was Dennis, former boyfriend, rest in peace, of Bethany.
Yes,
that's how Bethany got
on the show. And
Bethany allegedly knew the woman and said, let us know when this moment comes.
Yeah, it was all set up.
Yes.
That part I knew because I had met the woman. I ran into the woman like at some event in New York like a couple of years ago. But I just was, not that I cared, not that I was looking to find out who took the fucking picture. I didn't care, but like it just literally sat at my table. I was like, this is nuts. Yeah.
Wow. That's a good one.
I don't think I ever told anyone that.
No.
Yeah.
Because I'm just imagining like some girl being like,
but
and
really,
it just seems so weird because you're right. Like there are, what friend you have?
I mean, the chances of that, I thought actually production had set something up, but yeah. I mean, in a million years, I would not have thought that Michael Cohen was going to sit down at dinner and like tell this whole story about about how he.
And then nobody was invited to Luann's wedding, right? Was even so?
I think like Dorinda was and stuff.
Oh, maybe Dorinda went. Yeah.
I mean, I never told Luann about that. I never told anyone. I mean, it's like 6 months ago when Michael mentioned it.
Wow.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Yes, yes.
Oh my God. How's that show Crappy Lake doing? Speaking of,
I think
it's really fun.
Actually, I think it's doing really well. And that is why. Really fun. And I talked to Andy too. I go, because Jeff was there and Jeff said, I've got Caroline Manzo coming on Jeff's show. Mm-hmm. And he was kind of like, And I go, interesting that the Ultimate Girls Trip with Caroline Manzo, the juicy thing that happened on that, which they shot that before they shot the OGs going to St. Bart's. So that was supposed to air first. They have now put that on hold, the one with Caroline Manzo and Brady, because another lesbian thing happened where Brady tried to make out with Caroline Manzo and grab her genitals, and HR and whatever got involved. Right. And so I said, it's interesting that you are pushing that one back and moving. So that one, if we ever do see it, is not going to be till 2024. And the
Roni one and now
the Roni one will be in December.
Oh yeah, they went back to the house that we went with the pirate,
right? And they believe that. Oh my God! I mean, I think the thought is that Crappy Lake is doing well on Peacock and with the fans, and so they'd rather
obviously. But I see little bits on TikTok, and it look. I mean, listen, say what you will about Luann and Sonia, and they were not my. They weren't my pals on the show, but that show that's like perfect. That's like a perfect show for them. I mean I think it's like funny and comforting, and and the thing about, and I said this to Luann too. I go, throughout watching you, you and Sonia both never in all the years ever like did the really mean, not just on New York, but other franchises. Yeah. There's certain housewives that would really be like, I have this thing I'm holding that I'm going to plop and ruin your life. Like a photo.
Yes, like a photo. I know, yes, I know what your husband did. Yeah. And I think that you're lying about that. And I was in the car with Kathy Hilton, Lisa Rinna. Like, there's certain people that throughout their career, whether you like them or not, have done really kind of cruel or manipulative or said really cruel things. Mm-hmm. And I just can say, I don't think, in my opinion of watching everything, Luann and Sonia are just not outwardly cruel people. Right. They're not manipulative, and they're not calculating. They're not planning shit out. They really are silly and fun, and they're just out to like fuck some guys and drink. Yeah. And have some fun.
Yeah, I mean, she did call me a pedophile. She got a little, they went right up to the line. But I think that was pretty bad. She goes on the press tour, and I don't think I'm a favorite of hers, which I don't mind at all. And she's super pressed.
Did she say something about it?
Someone sent me a clip about, it was so random, and I kind of laughed because I thought, I harbor no real ill will, but the question was, who do you never want to see again? And Sonia said someone on a different show, like an OC lady, and Luann was like, well, Carole Radziwill. I was like, really? and because then she does the work of the patriarchy too, because she is that woman who is going to defend the corporation. And she said that I may have said things that were, against Bravo or, and I'm sure I did, but like, I'm not genuflecting at the altar of corporatism or capitalism even. So I'm going to speak my truth and my experience, but she came, it was just so random. And I almost thought like, oh, no, Luann, it's fine. Like, I think you're great on your show, and I'm happy for your cabaret.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's all she wants to do. Like, she's like, I just want to be silly and be fun and do my shows and maybe do some other fun stuff along the way and find a guy. Yeah. I mean, that's really.
Is she married again?
No. She's, really. When I was hanging out with her recently in LA.
Oh, like your buddies.
And she is really like a dude. Like, she's like a rock star guy that gets like dudes hitting on her all the time. And she goes for them young, gets laid all the time, and it's kind of, she's a little bit braggy about it, like in a good, like, I love it because she's like, oh, wait till you see the St. Bart show. Oh, I got the hottest guy there, and like, and I'm like, I think it's kind of funny, and I think it's kind of great because it's like, you know, that part of it, I like that feminist side of it. Like, yeah, you look freaking amazing. You're super sexual. Guys like you, guys hit on you, and you are not ashamed to be like, yeah. I'm on the road. I'm a free agent, and she's got her groupies. Like, I think she literally gets like guys, and I'm like, good for you.
Straight guys that watch the show?
No, straight guys. I mean, just saying, like, she'll just be out, and like a hot guy will like hit on her, and she'll go for it, and like put a little notch on her belt. And I'm like, good for you.
Yeah, I mean,
but then she's also fun. Like, I would, you know, eventually, she's like, I would love to, you know, be married again and everything, but right now, she's just enjoying it, and she should, because, you know, like anything,
she was good at it. She was also someone who bought into. There's a delusion there, right? So she bought into her.
Well, dear, I have a musical ear.
I mean, and so those housewives who got to buy into their bullshit, they can survive and they can keep it moving, because, like, I remember. It was Bethany that said really horrible things to her, and she just sort of let it roll. And like,
well, I don't think she's a fan of Bethany's anymore.
Well, no, I don't think she was then either. But like she just bought into that persona, so it kind of protects you a little bit,
right?
And you know, maybe she brought it to Crappy Lake, but like I've never seen it. I'm not going to watch it just because I don't really watch reality, at all. But it looked funny. I thought, oh, that makes sense. I'd like to produce that show. Like, that makes sense.
It's like a simple, funny.
It's like The Simple Life a little bit.
Yeah, it's like The Simple Life.
We're doing like a whole fucking advertisement for Crappy Lake.
Yeah.
Hello.
But I think
we should be on the payroll.
But I think but I think it is. I think it was a good idea for a show.
Idea. Yeah, and it was a really good idea.
Fed, you know, that little simple, like, escape. They're not mean to each other, but there still are two girls that we like to see, you know, because it's like, you do kind of like the OGs, you do, because you know them so well. And it's just kind of, it's like when I was on the plane and going from LA to New York, and I'm in, you know, my iPad wasn't like working. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch what United has to offer, right? And I wanted to watch when I saw any television show. I'm like, please, I get to the S's, please Sex and the City, please Sex and the City. And oh my God, then first I thought they only had 3. No, I watched like 7.
I mean, the old one.
And they United picked, or whoever's in charge of United picking they picked all the best episodes, like 1 or 2 a season that, like, you know.
Oh, that's nice.
Like when, you know, Carrie starts to have her affair with Big while she's still with Aiden, like, and he pushes her up against the wall in the elevator, like, all the like iconic episodes. And I'm like having a couple glasses of wine, and I'm just loving it. I'm going to New York. I'm watching these New York scenes. It holds up. And, you know, when you're up in the air too, you get like more emotional. So now I'm crying. I was because I was like, oh my God, I currently have a Charlotte and a Samantha, and all of a sudden it hit me. Oh my God, my one friend Lainey, even though she's been married like 30 years, is very much like Samantha. The personality, the funniness, and
I mean, that show really holds up. That was the 90s.
God, it's just the best.
That holds up. That holds up in a way. Roni OG that doesn't hold up as much, or maybe it does.
No, but I kind of have the same feeling, which is why I do love Peacock, and I do wish people were getting money when I watch the Peacock stuff.
I know.
Because I will be like, sometimes I'm like, I just want to watch. I looked on there to see which things, they did have one reality show, one Real Housewife on there, but I can't remember, but it didn't interest me as much as watching Sex and the City. But if they did have like season 4 or 5 of Roni or something, I probably would have watched that, because it's like comforting. Same with
we should be getting paid for
the first 3 seasons of Real Housewives of OC.
Yeah.
First 3 or 4 seasons of, I could watch that over and over. It's like there's something weird about, it's like weirdly comforting.
It's like for me watching Wonder Years or I Love Lucy.
Yeah, and it reminds me of like, oh, you know, this was around, when we were in a recession of 2008. I don't know. It's like there's weird, like, kind of like funny history. It's just, Yeah. So I think it's kind of like that.
Do you think it's going to last, or it's seen its day and it's kind of winding down? This whole franchise, this whole like idea of female betrayal being entertainment and kind of exploiting all those patriarchal tropes about women. I feel like it's coming.
I think that just like Sex and the City, I think that that young people, younger women, will find it and they will love it. The old stuff. Yeah. I don't know about the going forward. I think it's gonna be more of a challenge. But the one thing that my friend Kate Casey was saying was, she's like, I do, and even Spencer Pratt said it on my show from the Hills.
Funny. I've seen him on your show.
I would go on a reality show right now for free. And this is why I don't think it would, why I think it's going to be a challenge as much as he's like, because.
Why would he do it for free?
Because honestly, I think, what else, like if you're if you're a woman, you want to be famous but you want your job to be being an influencer, you will never, at this point in 2023, it'll be so hard to gain
traction without being on TV.
But if you suddenly go on TV, even if it's one season, you will get up to,
that's why most of them are influencers.
Yeah.
Now,
and so they're like, even if I just do this for 1 year, I'm going to walk away with 800,000 followers, and that's going to be enough to build on and get deals. And if I want to sell a product, if I want to find, like, how else am I going to get to be famous? There's no other way.
Off of because Bravo's not interested in promoting your product or whatever it is. But you now Instagram and TikTok is so big, you can take it off.
But I mean, imagine being like we were saying, like in watching Real Housewives of OC and stuff, and people are like, oh, I think they need a new cast or whatever they need. And it's like the stuff that's really interesting about Orange County, what you want to see is I want to see that fourth wife who's 30 and her husband is 59 and he has a new set of white veneers and they're tan and she has to.
Don't judge younger women with older men or older women with younger men.
I'm actually not judging. I'm saying I want to see what that life is like. I'm not saying she shouldn't have done it. Yeah. But I would like to see the benefits of it, the challenges of it. What is it like to be a stepmom? Is she friendly with? We saw a little bit with like Megan King Edmonds. She was friendly with one ex-wife. She wasn't friendly with the other. But like those things are interesting when you see them. And
why do you think actresses all watch? It just bothers me for some reason when you see real bona fide, serious actresses.
I just think it's a fun escape.
Okay.
It's like when people write to me and they're like watching my show and they're like, there's more important things going on in the world. I'm like, fuck yeah, there is. This isn't important. Well, this is an escape.
Right.
And I think it's the same thing where it's funny and it's like an escape. It's just like a comforting thing. It's not.
Because they do the promotion for Bravo so well. Like sometimes I think that they're like.
One of the things that Bethany always refers to it is that like the sport. She always her new thing is referring to Housewives as a sport. She's like, and this is how you play the sport. And she was like to Jill, she's like, you dropped the ball, you fumbled.
She always.
And I'm like,
if you look at historically at how she speaks in that word salad kind of way, which is just idioms strung together. Sometimes you have to execute and take the ball into the end zone, and it's like, what the fuck are you saying? It's hilarious, but it's like a bunch of phrases and like a cheerleading kind of thing, but there's no substance to it.
Yes, I mean I agree. Okay, let's just talk about a couple hot topics before we wrap it up.
I hope I'm going to be well versed in all these hot topics because I've been away.
I'm going to pick out some of the juiciest ones. So Wayne Brady. Comedian. He did Whose Line Is It Anyway? And he's been around forever. And he's the host of Let's Make a Deal. And he was married and he had a child. And now he just came out as saying, I'm pansexual. He didn't say he's bisexual. He said he's pansexual, meaning.
What is that?
I think it means I'll take anything.
But isn't that bi? Or no?
No, because maybe you would get someone who's trans or something.
Okay.
So you're just any person that interests you, whatever their sexuality is or gender, you might be open to it.
Okay. Why did he come out and say, okay, well, that...
I don't know why he came out, and I'm kind of...
Is he with a man now? Is that...
Well, I think the only reason you would say that is because
something's going to come out. So I feel like...
You don't just wake up one day and be like...
getting ahead of something.
Like, I've never acted on this ever, but I just wanted the world to know
that I would...
I could possibly... in the future, if I met the right guy, might be attracted to a guy. Not that it's happened yet.
Yeah, I feel like he's getting what do they say? Get ahead of the story. I feel like he might be getting ahead of a story that we haven't heard yet.
It's a great time to be something other than straight. It's the best time in history. So, like, if that's what you are, good. Be honest. It's not. Yeah. I think maybe it was. Oh, I think maybe, okay. Maybe there was something coming out or someone threatening. And because he is on such a squeaky clean network show.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Let's make a deal where they wear like the goofy costumes and stuff.
Yeah.
That
he leaned into it. That's a strategy to take the wind out of the sails.
Or maybe his contract was up and they might be thinking, not based on his sexuality, but as talented as he is and as likable as he is, maybe he's at a place where he's getting paid so much that they might be like, you know what? Let's get rid of Wayne. Let's get a younger version of Wayne or a different person or a woman or whatever. And so
he's creating some press around.
And so then I think he was like, well, let me hit the world with this. Because if they try to fire me now, they won't be able to. Yeah. I think that's what's happening.
Genius.
Because I'm sure he makes a lot. That's because he's been doing it for a really long time.
So
and it's a staple show that's been around for like 30 years. And he's been the host for like at least 10 or 12.
That is so good. I agree with you. I think now he's setting himself up as a double, triple minority or triple minority.
It's called checking boxes.
He's checking boxes.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
and now you can check. Okay, so you check. You don't get a box for being a man. Okay, but you can check that he's black.
He's black.
You check that he is pansexual.
Yeah.
But then under that also includes bi, and that also includes gay, and that includes trans.
Yeah. Oh my God, he's checking a lot of boxes.
Not that he's trans, but that he could be with a trans person.
Right.
So that's 5 boxes.
I mean, I'm just boring hetero. I need more boxes.
Well, I mean, it's like, it's the boxes. Okay, that's kind of juicy.
That's.
Let me see.
What else is going on?
Well, this I thought was kind of interesting. So Jamie Foxx, who we still don't know what happened to him. We don't know if he had a stroke. Don't know what happened.
Right.
Some people on TikTok believe he's been replaced by a whole other person. Because his complexion has changed, and his eye shape has changed. I think it's still Jamie Foxx.
Right. But he had a medical
situation. And anyway, he wrote a post that was like...
I saw it on TikTok.
It was something about...
something like they killed Jesus. What are they going to do to you?
Yeah, they killed Jesus. What are they going to do to you? Fake friends, whatever.
Right.
And Jennifer Aniston liked it. She later on said, I didn't not like it. I didn't like it. I didn't mean to like it. And she didn't really admit to like inadvertently. She didn't say it was my social media. She just said, I'm horrified that anybody thought that I liked it because, people thought it was anti-Semitic by saying that in the Bible, the Jewish people, the Jews crucified Jesus.
Okay.
So by saying they killed him, what are they going to do to you? Fake friends, fake Hollywood.
But it feels like I don't know. I'm the wrong person because I do not believe in any sort of organized religion, not my own.
I can explain as someone who was raised Catholic. So
I was raised Catholic, but
so my dad used to say things like, he'd go, "Hey, there was only one person who was perfect, and you know what they did to him." And never, my dad said that were we ever thinking of Jewish people? It's like people in general. So don't try to be perfect.
But wasn't even someone who's fake, like he was talking about Brutus? Like who was the
Judas?
The Judas, yeah.
Yes. So
see, a lot
of people then came to his defense.
He was talking about. It feels like he was talking about a betrayal of a friend, and it was like his Judas.
And Judas, for people that don't know, Judas was
maybe
his disciples.
Judas's pronouns are they now. Judas goes by they.
Maybe it just one person. It wasn't. Yeah, it was just one person.
Right.
But
pronouns.
He meant Judas. Meaning they.
It feels like he was talking about a very specific.
But Judas
person.
betrayed him for in the Bible for 75 silver coins, something like that, and let the soldiers know where Jesus was hiding.
Yeah. Wow.
So
look at you.
He was like, well, please, 12 years of Catholic school,
but I
remember. So
I remember wearing a rosary as a headband, and then I got
no. That's not okay.
No, I know.
You're not supposed to wear a rosary as a necklace either. But I think now I remember a nun getting really mad at because we were like in that like Madonna era, and so a lot of girls wanted to wear that, and she was like, "Oh, glory be to God, you don't be wearing."
I never trusted organized. I organized religion. Like I believe in higher.
But as Christians in general that believe that Jesus is the Son of God, whatever, a lot of people came to his defense because they're like, no, it's never been like that. When people have said that, it's been like what my dad said, like, don't try to be perfect, because there was one person who was perfect, and then they hated him for being perfect. So like people, and the lesson was people are going to hate you no matter what. So don't just be try,
and be a good person.
But it was never like an anti-Jewish thing. So anyway, that girl Lizzie, who I talked about earlier, Lizzie, who they who left Rhodey, I follow her. Because she's very pro-Israel, and she's a Jewish matchmaker, and she's like an Orthodox Jew or something. So she first talked about it, how she said this is horrible that he did this. But then she did another one after, and she was like, okay, thank you for educating me. Then she did another video, and she said, listen, this was upsetting to me because I was a Jew in Texas, and there were times growing up where people would be like, your people killed Jesus. Because when you'd be like reading or taking a religion class, they would say, in the Bible, and then the Jews did this, and then the Jews said this. So you're the one Jewish person in the school, and dumb little kids might have said that to her. Right. So that's why she was sensitive to it as well.
And then did she apologize?
Then she apologized. She said, a lot of people have written me and explained that it's not that. It's not...
Right.
Attacking.
Did he apologized?
Yeah, he said he took it down, and he's like, I think absolutely, it wasn't anti-Semitic at all. It was like people betray people.
Right.
So I've been betrayed, fake friends, fake Hollywood. It wasn't anti, but
it seems odd. He has this medical condition. He's been under the radar, and the first thing he's going to come out with is going to be some crazy anti-Semitic trope about killing. I mean, it was,
and it is sad, and it is something that we have to be hyper aware of, because the crimes, the anti-Semitic crimes have been horrific, and I mean, I totally get it, but. It just goes to show you. And then, the Jennifer Aniston, like,
what did she
accidentally liked something, and somebody caught that.
Oh my God!
And I have accidentally liked.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a post. It was like a comment in my private thing that then somebody screen grabbed, sent to the person that.
I mean, everyone has those actions. I recently accidentally followed the ex-girlfriend of a guy that.
That is so.
I mean, that's worse. There is a really blue check, and it's very obvious. And I did it.
And then what did you do? Then you had to leave it, or then did you try to unfollow?
No, I just unfollowed. It was just innocent. I was just looking. I don't want to go into the whole thing, but it was one of those moments where I'm like, oh no.
There was a really funny TikTok of this girl. And she's sitting. By the way, I like to talk about funny TikToks I see all the time. And I saw somebody wrote me, and they're like, you're stealing material. And I'm like, I'm not saying that I did this. I'm saying I saw a really funny TikTok. Yeah. I did not execute this video. I literally saw it. Like, I'm not saying I create. But this girl's sitting there, and they're like, they just show her, and then it's like the writing, and they're like, and then when you're stalking your boyfriend's, your ex-girlfriend, and you accidentally like a post from 2017, and she's like, oh, and she's like rolling out, she like rolls into the pool, like
that's how it
because there's no way, and and especially if someone isn't famous, all of a sudden they might have notifications on, and all of a sudden someone follows them or someone likes them.
I think you get notified.
Yeah,
Carole Radziwill started following you. Like, why?
If somebody started following me. I don't know that someone started following because I don't have those notifications up. But for a regular person that has whatever, few hundred followers, they're like, oh, this person I met at the party is now following me. So they get it. By the
way, it's like I have like 3 fake accounts and like 10 aliases. Like if I wanted to snoop, I could do it. It was just totally innocent. But I was like, you need that it should be like a premier service where you can pay into it. And then you could immediately unlike or unfollow before a notification is sent. Like I think a lot of women would pay for that service.
Yeah. Harry and Meghan.
They're still today. They actually bought the rights to a book called
Meet Me at the Lake, which was a novel that is based on their lives.
On Meghan and Harry?
Yes. Somebody wrote a novel like that. They bought the rights and now Netflix is going to do the movie. So I don't think they're completely out of the game. I thought they like kind of were like, it sounded like Netflix
podcast didn't do
podcast
well
is done, but I guess Netflix was like, you better come up with some material. And I guess this is one of the things.
But
and of course, the novelist is thrilled.
They knew the book was based on their love affair, their romance. Did they meet at the lake?
I think it's like a fictionalized.
Did someone get murdered?
No,
I mean, why are they meeting at a lake? That's girls go missing.
Yeah, I don't know. What?
I don't follow them that much. Although I was in London, and there's a lot of headlines about Meghan and Harry. And
what's the vibe? Do they still hate him, or do they want them to come back?
No, I think the vibe is that they're not well liked, or she's not.
Yeah,
I mean, she's like the peasant girl that stole the prince away, and it's like that old narrative.
I always said if they don't last, she's gonna Lauren Sanchez it and get someone like a Jeff Bezos. Or somebody. So now
she's gonna do like a Sanchez.
I'm not the first person to suggest this, but I would not be surprised.
She's gonna do a dirty Sanchez. Isn't that like a sex thing?
Yeah.
What is it though?
I think it's like shitting on someone. No, she's gonna go after the Prime Minister of Canada. He's getting divorced.
Oh, should I
still
date
hot?
him?
He's still hot. He's still real hot.
How old is he? He's probably like 20 years too old for me.
Trudeau? What is it? Trudeau? What's his name?
Trudeau.
No, he's like 53. That's too old for you now?
No.
I know you like him young.
I like guys who like me.
You like guys who what?
I like guys who like me. Oh. And they just tend to be younger.
Anyway. So that's always a possibility.
So she's good. I always find like those like marriage on the rocks stories to be just blatantly untrue.
No, they are filing. They filed. Prime Minister of Canada and his wife.
I meant Harry. Harry and Meghan getting divorced is just a bunch of made up stories. I mean, I felt like there were a lot of stories about John and Carolyn getting divorced before they passed away. And it was just
so
all made
many
up stuff.
Yeah,
it's just all made up stuff. So I'm just sensitive to that. I'm like, nobody knows really what's happening, except the two people in the marriage.
I wanted to ask you about that because obviously you were so close to them, and this is no disrespect. I just want to ask you in like retrospect. And I never saw it until I saw one of the millions of documentaries about them, where I'm like, I really do think JFK would have preferred to pursue acting. He wanted to act in college, and then, he couldn't. So then, he had to go to law school, and then okay, I'll come up with this magazine.
Yeah.
But like, he obviously did, even though there was always these fights, and there was always these fights, about, oh my God, leave Caroline alone when they were together. But then there was this one thing I saw where someone goes, hey, look, he went riding his bike shirtless around the city. He lived in a building with no doorman that you could always see him at. And I think and there's nothing wrong with liking being recognized and famous. I mean, I like being recognized. Right. I always wanted to be famous. I always wanted to perform as a kid. Like, I don't think it's a shameful thing to say that you are an extrovert and you like that.
I think, honestly, and this is just my opinion, I feel like that kind of stuff, he really tried so hard to be normal. He just, I think that his entire family lived on the Upper East Side, and like, and then he decided to move to Tribeca. He was the only one, and it was weird in this like not nice building with no doorman. He just I think in riding the bike around and shirtless.
I think to a non-New Yorker that seems like nothing, because it'd be different. Deal. But I'm saying it'd be like if it was like his whole family lived on the Upper West Side of New York, whatever, and he moved to South Carolina on the bayou or whatever. Like that would be like getting away. Saying I moved a few blocks down the road to Tribeca to a non-New Yorker, that just seems like that is not a big deal.
It is though. It is a big. It's like in these tiny little ways he was declaring his independence from a family that was very entrenched and hierarchical and you did certain things, you went to certain jobs. I mean, getting into the press, starting a magazine. Right. I think those are things he did to maybe as an expression of his artistic,
because I
mean, I don't think he would.
No, I know he did. Like,
I don't think he would.
He did acting and stuff in college.
He did. Yeah, and he loved it, but I think ultimately he probably wouldn't have pursued it, although he was a bit of a drama.
When we were in college, like a couple of years out of school, my friends invited me to go to like a party or whatever, and I never turned down a party ever. It was like the one time I'm like, I'm not going to go to this Christmas party. I'm just too burnt out. And they came back, and this is when he was single. And they're like, he was in LA at this great Christmas party.
When was that? 90?
It was like 90, let's say like 94, 95. Okay.
94.
And I was suicidal.
Like it could have been you.
Absolutely.
It could have been you.
I'm thinking it could have been me. He is my type. Whose type is he not? He looked, he Irish Catholic. My mother was obsessed with the Kennedys and everything. And I literally was about to throw myself off the balcony. And then they said, no, we made up the whole thing. He was not at the party. They just were like so mad that I didn't go that they're like, who can we say?
Oh my God.
Those are good friends. So fucking mad.
Those are good friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, he was artistic.
What do you think about his uncle running for president?
I don't want to say anything about that.
All I can think about is if he did win.
No.
Cheryl Hines, who I was in the Crowleys with, would be the first lady.
Oh, you'd have an in. Do you still? I mean,
well, we're kind of friendly, and now I feel like she's laying very low. Like I don't even know if she's doing her podcast anymore because I'm like,
oh, she had a podcast.
Yeah, but it was like silly with Tig, and they would like talk about documentaries, and like they're just like funny. It was never. She was never sharing anything personal. Like my podcast is so personal. Like everything I've ever said, if I was ever going to run for office, could be used against me. But like, I think she's like led a pretty like safe, normal life, and then is his wife, but he'll be very interesting.
Pretty out there. I mean, is there a chance? I don't think there's a. I mean, who knows? This country has gone nuts, just nuts.
Carole, is there anything?
We didn't talk about Barbie.
Did you love the movie?
I did. I mean,
I loved the movie. I thought it was great. I didn't know what to expect, and I was really happy.
I took my 7-year-old nephew, who loved it for a different reason, but like. I didn't know it was about the patriarchy. Like I didn't know nothing. I just wore pink. I was like, everyone's wearing pink. I'll wear pink.
Well, I mean, what I think is cool is that if you did take a younger person, they still might enjoy it. And they're not going to get a bad message, but they may not get the full message, but they're not going to get a bad message.
But I think for young girls, I think even if they ask, mommy, what's the patriarchy? Like that's big. That's they're doing their job. Then I thought it was. I was just blown away by it. I mean, it was funny. It was.
Well, there's just so many things that, like, as a woman in the last
men hated it.
Even about the last, like, few years of like Me Too and sexual harassment and stuff. That I would be like, well, we just put up with it. I'm like, and the reason, and that's why
because we live in a patriarchal society.
That's why it went on so long. And when an old man would flirt with you at work or say you would just giggle because you were so embarrassed for that old fucker that thought he had any chance with you.
And there was no outlet for you to complain without getting fired. Like the 90s,
but you would never,
like when we came of age in the workforce, it was the first generation of young women en masse that went into corporate America. Like my mom was like in the 70s and they were like making all these breakthroughs, but
yes.
like in mass. And suddenly it was like, you know, I was at ABC News and it was like the men were there thinking, oh my God, like now they don't have to go to the bar after, like the girls are right there down the hall. And like, you didn't have to go to happy hour. It was just, they didn't know how to behave. And we didn't know any different, right? Like there was a lot of touching and inappropriate talk and fondling and handling and like, and right. We'd be like,
I do see an unfortunate flip side of what's gone down.
I mean, the 90s was brutal. Women today, young girls today, if they were going into that workforce, I mean, they would faint.
I think something that that no one wants to talk about, but I do think it's true, and I've heard people tell me, is unfortunately now, it's like if you're going to hire someone and you're in a, maybe you have a you know, financial whatever with mostly guys, you're going to almost, you know, 10 years ago you would have picked the woman. Now you're like, I can't control these fuckers 24/7. Right. And even though you're the better candidate, Jennifer,
right.
I mean, I wonder if like, and God forbid you're like attractive and stuff, and because it's like
that's because we still live in this world where men are in charge. And when it was like,
but not even that, but like with
reverse,
But like my friend works in HR, and it's like literally the only way that a company will not get in trouble, if something sexually happens, is if the man and the woman, providing it's hetero, the man and the woman were both hired the exact same day. They had the exact same position. They made the exact amount. Money. If they fuck, company's okay.
But if one what if they got together, but then one of them complained?
Even if it was mutual, if they break up, then the subordinate can just say it wasn't.
Well, I mean, I met my husband at work. We were the same level, and we, you know.
So now, like what you have to do is
he was actually a little above me.
So so now if that was today, and he you'd have to go together
and
to HR and say, and you'd have to sign a thing saying, I absolutely want to fuck this man. Like I am willing, even though he was here a day longer than me, even though he makes this much more
level up ahead of me.
And then oftentimes I ask my friend in HR, she goes, I go, what do you tell? And she goes, I advise the senior person, unless you think like you're going to marry this person,
don't do it.
You should not do it. Which is a bummer, because that's where people met your spouse. Yeah, you meet their spouse at work, and now everyone's so afraid. Yeah. So it's like, that's the other flip kind of bummer side of it too, is like,
I mean, the pendulum has definitely swung way far in the other direction, but I mean, there needed to be a correction.
Carole, let everyone know, if they're not following you already, what you're up to and where they can follow you.
Well, I'm still on Instagram. And
so it's your name?
Yeah, it's just my name.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but I mean,
she has her 2 books.
I have my 2 books. I'm working on my 3rd. I'm just in a really good place.
Awesome.
I mean, I'm so it's just a great feeling to have made it, almost, right? Like you just made it. Like I'm turning 60 and people are just freaking out.
You look amazing. And you look gorgeous.
And it's like, they don't tell you all the fun things about getting older. Like you're still like, you could be 60 and still be a dumb bitch, right? Like that saying that one of another podcaster, she said you can still be a mom.
I really don't appreciate you talking about me like this.
Yeah. But you have so much wisdom and context, and if you still have a childlike wonderment and curiosity, which I do, it's great. Like it's so much fun being older. It's like when you were 11 and you really wanted to be older, and you wanted to be 13. And why did we want to be, as kids, want to be older? Now I get it. It's really cool to be older. That's cool.
Great. So I like getting older too. Carole, thank you so much.